Hi! I'm really on a video spree today. I've already filmed 2 and I thought why not make another one for my Girl in London, German Girl in London series. And today I want to cover how to find a flat in London, because if you want to come to London, that is probably something that you will worry about sooner or later if you want to, stay here a bit longer. And yeah, my experience is I came here 4 years ago from Germany, and I already said in my first video how I found my flat, so you can watch that here and I'll link it below as well. But I'll now tell you something about the general flat market in London. So, as a young person in London, the first thing you want to do is look online. For me, as a German person, it was really odd because we still use newspapers a lot, but that's pretty much non-existent here. You really just want to look online because that's where people advertise their rooms and their flats. Another thing that's really odd is, let's say you want to move in 3 months. So now it's the 1st of August, and if I wanted to move on the 1st of November, I wouldn't even have to start looking until late October, because flats here, they don't stay empty at all, because London is so expensive that every day that a flat is empty, the landlord loses so much money. So yeah, that was really weird for me, because in Germany I'm used to kind of people looking for a new flat months in advance, but all my flats that I had here, I went to view them usually the day they got inserted online, and then I signed the contract maybe 3-4 days later, and I was in the flat within the week. So it's really fast. If you want a flat, you basically just have to do it now, and that's how it works. There may be, obviously cases where it's different, but this is how I experienced 4 times now, and all my friends tell me the same thing. And when talking about why flats are never empty, I mentioned the rent, and the rent in London is pretty ridiculous. I live in a flat in Shoreditch. I've said this before. Shoreditch is in zone 1, or well, I think I probably live on the border of zone 1 and 2, because I live right between Shoreditch High Street Station and Bethnal Green. So this area isn't like super posh, but it's quite central, and our flat is unbelievably small. I can't even explain to you how small it is. My room is the size of a double bed plus about this much at one side and then maybe twice as much on the end. So it is the tiniest room I've ever lived in, and I've lived in a lot of tiny rooms. And my flatmate's room is even smaller. Don't ask me how that works. And then we don't have a hallway. We just have a tiny kitchen and a tiny bathroom without window. And we're paying almost £1,000 for that. Yes, just let that sink in. £1,000. Pounds. British pounds. It's mental. It's absolutely mental here. I had a flat in Tottenham, which is a bit further out, that was probably 3 or 4 times the size. That cost me almost as much, so that's just ridiculous. So if you want to move to London, you need to make sure you have some money saved up. There's no way around it. Usually if you want a flat, you have to pay between maybe a month to 3 months rent as a deposit, so that can be quite a lot. And also what you really want to take care of is agencies. I was really lucky with my last flat that we found a private landlord, so we didn't have to go through an agency. But if you want to go through an agency, so an agency would be like, you would go to the agency and say, I want a flat in this area, can you help me out? And they usually have some on their books and they'll let you view them. But then if you want them, you have to pay agency fees. And I think most people think they're not that high, but to be honest, most agencies will take about £100 to £200 per person. So if you're moving in with a friend, that's £400 just to pay the agency that they found a flat for you, when they didn't even really find it. They just kind of, it's really silly. So if you cannot go through an agency, don't. But the good thing about an agency is, if it's like a legit agency, then they'll take care of most things for you, and you can be sure that it's all legit. Whereas if you go to a private landlord, you have to really be careful with the contract, and you just can't be as sure sometimes. I was really lucky because my landlady was really nice and she tried to do everything right, and it went really well. So the 3 biggest websites, I would say, that people find flats on are spareroom.co.uk, easyroommate.co.uk, and gumtree.com.uk. I don't actually know. I would not suggest Gumtree simply because it is full of scams, and especially people that come to London for the first time to find a flat, they just have perfectly bait offers on there. They'll always have not too good looking but not too shabby looking places for relatively cheap, and they'll always say no deposit, that kind of stuff, and it's all scams. And they usually will ask you to give them loads of money via Western Union bank transfer. Never ever 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 do that. Never send anyone money ever in advance, ever. I can't stress this enough because this must have happened to me 10 times. When I first tried to look for a flat from Germany, I was just browsing, see if I can secure some viewings so that I could view them when I came over, which didn't work at all. Nothing. Every time I thought I found something, they just sent me an email and had really shady kind of explanations as to why I couldn't view it, or there was this lady that was oh yeah, I'm going to Australia for a year, so I'll be happy if you live in my flat and it will be your own flat, but my lawyer said I need you to transfer me £1,000 via Western Union, which is a really safe way to send money, blah 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 blah. And they just lure you in and they just try and take your money, and it'll just be gone forever. So never do that. Always go and view it yourself, or have a friend view it for you, or just never send money in advance. I think I said that enough now. But as someone who has also advertised on sites like Spare Room, because we rented a flat where our flatmate moved out, so we had a spare room. So we advertised on spareroom.co.uk, so I know myself that there is a lot of legitimate offers out there as well. But just be careful and just think twice. My advice really is fly over here, get a hostel or a hotel for a week, and in that week your chances of finding something that is good and legit are really 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 high. I think within the first week, I think 80 to 90% of people would find something suitable that is legit, and that really makes the cost of a hostel or hotel worth it, really does. Opposed to people that want to have a flat secured when they arrive here. I know it's a peace of mind, and it feels weird to kind of moving to another place without having a flat secured, but that's also a very German fear, I think, and I had that fear, but that's just how it works here, really. So go with it. Just come here, get a hostel, get a hotel, go on the tube, go on a bus, drive around town, find out where there is nice places to live, because you also have to check out the area. Online, everything looks amazing, and you don't know what's good. There could be an ad saying amazing flat in Lewisham, London, and Lewisham isn't really in London, and you wouldn't know this because you're not from here, and on a map it doesn't look that far away, but it is really far away. And it's just so much better if you have the viewing, because then how far is the walk to the tube station, is there any shops around, what kind of area is it safe, all that kind of stuff is really really important in London. Nothing in London is more important than having a tube or an overground stop close to you, having a local supermarket, all that kind of stuff. Really really super important. More important than having a nice wallpaper or good floor or anything like that, because that's really hard to find in London anyway. Be prepared to have crooked floors, single glazing in your windows, kind of bad paint jobs, all that kind of stuff is really not that important. Important is just that the flat is in a good location, that it doesn't have mold, it doesn't have any pests. Mice are fairly common, which I'm really lucky that I only had one flat that had mice, but it's really common. Bed bugs, really super common. So kind of, those things you can't really know beforehand, because you wouldn't really see it when you first view a flat, so just be a bit wary of it. But if you ask a landlord, do you have bed bugs in the complex, they'll tell you no anyway, because if they said yes then you wouldn't take the flat. So those are a few things to just keep in mind, and just maybe if you can talk to some neighbours, kind of ask what it's like to live there. English people tend to be a bit closed off, but maybe you find some nice people, especially in London. There's a lot of multicultural neighbourhoods, so it's worth just knocking on a door and just asking. And yeah, I feel like this video isn't very structured, which I'm really sorry about, but there's just so many things to keep in mind. I've had so many viewings in London with agencies, without agencies, and it's just something that you can't really master. It's something you have to just kind of just go into, because it's different every time. But the ground rules really just are, don't send anyone money in advance, which I know I've said a lot. Just be a bit critical, be prepared to spend a lot of money and kind of feel like you've been robbed because everything is stupidly expensive. Don't have super high expectations on the quality of the flats, because again, a landlord would rather not spend a few grand on making the flat look nice, because he knows he can get people to live in there how it looks now, because this is London and everyone wants to live here. So our flat really isn't in a good shape, but our landlord's not going to change anything, because we still live here and pay super, like, a load of money. So yeah, that's just sad. Sometimes it's really worth just looking for flats a bit further out. I know that most people would just love to live in, like, Westminster, but unless you're a millionaire, just forget about that. And do look at zone 3 and 4. Sometimes it looks far away, but it isn't. So yeah, like I said, just go on a tube, check it out, and that's really all you can do. And I hope this helped, even though it was all over the place. Super sorry. If you have any questions, do write them in the comments and I can try and answer them, because there's so many things that I can't think of right now that are probably helpful, but this is such a such a wide topic that I can't cover it all in one video. So yeah, any questions, let me know. And yeah, thank you for watching. Goodbye.